From the days of swords and shields to present-day body armor and rucksacks loaded with gear, military troops have always carried a heavy load into battle. The trick these days is reducing the size of some of our field equipment, making room for new and better tools. One way the Air Force is trying to make that happen is through research into bio and nanotechnologies.
You can see some of the nanomaterials accumulated in the cell.
On the biotechnology side, clearly we're interested in protecting our airmen, airwomen from potential biological attack, but it's much more than that. What we're looking at are learning from nature, learning about how nature does things.
The question we always get is, why is the Air Force interested in biology? People always have this science fiction notion that you're trying to clone or inject people with things that would enhance performance. We don't do that here. That's not what we do. What we do is generally understand from biology how it does things and how can you emulate that.
The biomimetics that we were trying to study there was heat seeking, and nature does that very well. You have pit vipers that are able to seek out mice in hot deserts. You have actually beetles that seek out forest fires so they can lay their eggs in freshly burnt wood. And so there are all these instances in biology where biology is very successful at sensing heat. But the best that man can do is probably one of these large heat-seeking for the tip of a heat-seeking missile. And you can see here, this is 40 pounds. It's very heavy and it's under a vacuum too. And so this is one of our proof of concept MEMS chips. So now instead of spending a couple $100,000 on just one sensor, you can spend $100,000 on several sensors.
And that takes the place
of this, right? From 40 pounds to about 60 grams.
The other misconception I also hear is when people talk of biology, they also say, oh, biology is, you can't really use it in the field. And I think we've shown that. A lot of biomolecules, if treated correctly and packaged correctly, can last very long. Okay, we're biomolecules, we do pretty well. So why can't, biomolecules and devices do well? This is just bacterial cells. This is just E. coli on an agar plate that you grow. But it is the organism of choice when you want to clone genes. So you can clone genes into E. coli and grow tons of it, and you can harvest a protein there. So instead of killing poor jellyfishes to get the protein, you can kill tons of E. coli, no one's going to come after you. Right now you don't see anything, but if I excite the GFP, just like you would when you go to the aquarium, where the jellyfishes are excited under blue light, the same thing as if I excite this. So, you can see that glow green. Now it's expressing the protein. What you can do is take the protein out of that and make things like simple badges. So here's now in a badge format now. Most of what we do is multidisciplinary. It's not, a biologist cannot solve all the problems, or an engineer cannot solve all the problems, or a chemist cannot do that. So it's a combination of various disciplines like chemistry, physics, engineering. The ultimate thing one would like is to have an autonomous vehicle that can self-repair, can sense the environment, and change depending on the environment. So if it senses a chemical agent or it senses some kind of a threat, it can adapt to that situation. Okay. And all these processes also occur in biology. Organisms adapt to the environment. They can sense the environment, and they can send signals to the neighbors as well. So the idea is, can you exploit some of those processes in biology to now have an air vehicle that can do those things? And I think that would be the ultimate.
These are actually some of the nanomaterials.
Another field of study that offers endless possibility for innovations is nanotechnology.
What really makes nano unique is that there's a size scale that's somewhere between the individual atom and a very large collection of atoms where properties change. So a piece of sand or a piece of plastic has a certain properties because it's a bulk material. But if you decrease its size, at some point before it becomes an individual atom or an individual molecule, its properties change. And so you access this whole new wealth of potential.
Nanotechnology holds the promise of new materials, new processes, things like additives to fuels, new ways of manufacturing materials that can give us capabilities that we had not even envisioned previously.
There are three key areas Air Force nanotechnology researchers are exploring: better materials,
being able to create structures that are stronger, materials that have better thermal conductivity, materials that can change their properties in real time.
Better energy capabilities.
being able to generate energy more efficiently with a smaller footprint and lighter weight, and associated with that is also propellants and energetics. Being able to expand our range of explosive capabilities as well as propellants more efficiently.
And new devices.
And that really is being able to stand further away and sense things much better.
Some of the examples that we have here are thin film flexible solar cells.
Michael Durstock's specialty is in new materials development for power and energy applications.
Portable power, things to harvest energy from the environment. You would put your rechargeable batteries into that, and then for war fighters in a sort of a deployed location away from a base, if they needed to regenerate their electrical power or recharge their batteries, they could do it. Whatever needs that you had for electricity, you could harvest the energy from the sunlight to generate the electrical power.
We look at nanotechnology really as an enabling science. So this is a piece of plastic, a piece of rubber with carbon nanotubes in. It's the ability to manipulate and structure materials and devices on the nanoscale. The carbon nanotubes make this electrically conductive, but it's still elastomeric. You can stretch it 3 to 4 orders of magnitude smaller than a human hair. The electrical properties will change and the light will go out. Now this material also has a shape memory character to it, so that when you heat it back up again, it'll then actually recover its strain and the light will come back on again. We always have a goal in mind because that focuses where we're going, but I would say the vast majority of the time the most excitement comes from the unexpected things that happen along the way, and then thinking about what that implied gives you a better understanding of if you can reach that goal or not, as well as what it may imply to something completely different.
When we talk about nanotechnology and biotechnology, we're not talking right now about things that are inside our body. We're not talking about biological enhancements of airmen. We're not doing a Frankenstein monster approach. What we're looking at are technologies that would give us, frankly, new materials. Both nanotechnology and biotechnology represent some of the most exciting areas that we have today across the board in science and technology.
A devastating hurricane, a nuclear attack on American soil. In-depth coverage of art and century throughout May on Around the Services.
In 1903, the Wright brothers started a revolution, one that gave people access to the skies. We've come far in our development of aircraft, but the process started by the Wright brothers more than a century ago continues. The importance of air power is something General Henry Hap Arnold believed in, and in his role as commander of the Army Air Corps in 1944, he determined a more structured effort to direct and develop U.S. air power was needed. With that in mind, he asked another aviation pioneer, Dr. Theodore von Karman, to take charge of a new scientific advisory group.
Dr. von Karman called together 40 or 50 of the greatest minds in the country, and they laid out a roadmap that became a 50-year plan for the future of Air Force investments. It's amazing what they got right in that roadmap. They predicted UAVs, guided missiles, even high Mach number flight. That was before Chuck Yeager had even broken the sound barrier.
Still, throughout the history of aviation, there have been some issues designers have had to keep in mind. One is an effect called aileron reversal, which negatively affects control of aircraft. For example, when aileron reversal happens, to roll left, a pilot instead must push the control stick opposite the normal direction to counter the effect.
The aileron reversal problem was first discovered back during World War II, and it was a problem up until this point. In fact, if you look back at the history of aeronautics, as airplanes got faster and faster, their wings started becoming geometrically stubbier and stubbier.